Hi, kids. We're back to reading again Race Against Death. This story is called Trapped in the Dark. The ditch didn't look like much. It measured only 2 feet at its deepest point as it flowed quietly along the 10th Street in Missoula, Montana, bringing water to lawns and gardens. Whenever it came to a cross street, it ran through a long drainage pipe called a culvert. It was no danger to anyone, unless that person was very small. David and Liz Barrington knew about the ditch, though. They had moved into a house on 10th Street the summer before, and in just the last few months, their 2-year-old daughter, Sarah, had fallen in more than once as she bent to watch the flowing water. Luckily, someone had always been with her to pull her out, but the Barringtons were taking no chances. They had strictly forbidden her to play outside unless they or her older brother were with her. On this warm June evening, they had left the door to the house unlatched. They didn't see their small blonde daughter, proud of her cleverness, push the door open and toddle out into the slanting sunlight, or walk boldly down the driveway, across the sidewalk, and over the ditch, or lean out over the edge to look at the pretty water. "Mrs. Barrington!" cried a small boy from the neighborhood, still breathing hard from his run to the back door. "Sarah fell in the ditch again!" The Barringtons ran across the lawn and down to the water. Too late. Floating in little more than a foot of water, Sarah had been swept into the culvert and was gone from sight. Just a few houses down the street, as word of Sarah's fall spread like wildfire among the neighborhood children, a 16-year-old boy named David Lucas dropped what he was doing and ran to the ditch. He too knew its dangers, for last month his 1-year-old nephew had fallen in and David had fished him out. This time, though, rescue wasn't just a matter of pulling a small child to safety. It meant crawling into a small, dark, and almost airless culvert, some 50 feet long, and groping his way to her. For David, who had claustrophobia, it was a frightening prospect. Claustrophobia is a big word that means fear of closed spaces. It's a common fear. In an elevator, a closet, or a locked room, people with claustrophobia start to get nervous and panic. They fear that they will never get out, that they are running out of air and choking. For David, even spending a night in a tent on a camping trip was torture. But with the young girl trapped in the pipe, David didn't stop to think about his fear. He handed his wallet to someone standing by, jumped into the ditch, splashed down on his back, and started crawling after Sarah, breathing the stale air in the few inches above the water at the top of the culvert. When he was well into the pipe and daylight had faded away behind him, David came to a place where the culvert was half caved in. Beyond that point, for how long he didn't know, there was no more air. Only dirty water, grass clippings, old plastic bags, broken glass, and other garbage that people had thrown into the ditch and that had gotten stuck there. David took a deep breath and struggled on. There was a few more feet of airless, watery horror. And then he touched a foot. It was Sarah, unconscious, caught on some of the garbage. Working quickly, David pulled her free from the debris and pulled her to the other end of the culvert, holding her head up out of the water. Oh, Sarah was lucky. Although she had been unconscious for almost 6 minutes, her grandmother and a passing stranger helped revive her with mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. You know what that is? That's where you hold the nose and you put the head back, you make sure the mouth is clear, and you hold the head back and you start breathing, go into her mouth to fill up her lungs, to try to get her lungs working again so she can breathe on her own. Wow! Sarah was lucky. Well, the Carnegie Hero Fund, set up years ago by the millionaire industrialist Andrew Carnegie to reward brave people, gave David a medal. Sarah's parents gave him an engraved watch to replace the one he had ruined in his crawl through the culvert. But they decided they had had enough experience with ditches. As soon as they could, the Barringtons sold their house and moved away. There's David crawling through the culvert. Oh my goodness, that looks scary. I think I would have some problems trying to crawl through there. What an exciting story. There you go. So, Race Against Danger. Stories of young heroes. That was very brave of him. Well, till tomorrow. Bye.